I have with me Diana Logan, who's a technical communicator from Citrix. Hello, Diana. Um,
Hi, Ellen.
and it's another interview about what technical communicators do. So, Diana, can you tell me who you work for and what do they do?
Yeah, I work for Citrix in the UK, and Citrix is a global software company which makes software essentially to deliver mobile workspaces. So that's everything from virtualized desktop and apps to products such as Zen Apps and Desktop to collaboration tools like GoToMeeting that we're using at the moment, Podio, GoToWebinar, right through to networking and cloud solutions as well. So it's a pretty broad technology portfolio.
And what's your role within Citrix?
I'm an information developer, and I work in a team that's called the Information Experience Team.
And what do you do and what does the information experience team do? What does being an information developer mean?
It means that I develop and publish content which helps our Citrix customers, people working with Citrix products, to do their jobs more successfully. Um, that's it really. So it used to be called technical writing, or it has evolved out of technical writing. Um, the description has evolved really because it's we now produce a range of outputs, many of which are still based on writing, but it's a bit broader than that now.
So it's more than just manuals. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And so, what would be a typical day for you in terms of what you would do during a typical day, and the
Yeah,
types of things that you would create in that role as well?
yeah. So it's the pattern and rhythm of my day is set a little bit by the teams that I work with. So it's very global. I work with engineering and QA teams in India, on the west coast of the US, on the east coast of the US, with product management teams, marketing, who are also spread across different locations. So typically, in the morning, I would check to see what's come in, perhaps into my email from India, from Bangalore primarily. So if the day before, I might have written a new article or updated an existing article for the website, for the product documentation area of the website, which I need some feedback on from a specialist, so either from an engineer or from somebody who's working in the project team. So if I've sent that the night before, I would typically check to see if there's feedback the next day, and then I could make my update and publish or go into the next cycle. I might also do an interview with a subject matter expert. So that's somebody who either has been working on that product as their main project for the last while, and interview them usually over GoToMeeting like we're doing now, to get a deeper understanding of what it is that I need to try and communicate to our customers or to the people who are using the content that I'm developing. Then I have the middle part of my day, UK time, is when I tend to do the actual content developing or publishing. That's my sort of concentrated work time, or usually is. And then about 3 p.m. ish, as the east coast of the US starts to come online, I might have some project meetings to find out what the latest is on another project that I'm working on, give an update of how far I've got with what I'm due to deliver for that project, and then you have West Coast as well. So it's juggling different time zones, but it makes it a lot of fun.
So do you work 9 till 5, or do you work more flexible hours than that?
I try to keep to UK times, but sometimes it flexes a little bit at either end of the day.
So you've mentioned there planning, writing, and researching.
Are
they evenly split, or does the role do more of one than the other?
It can vary from project to project. I would add to those what I would call activities that fall into content curation. So also keeping an eye on content that you've developed perhaps earlier in the product life cycle, and making sure, is that still relevant today, or do we need to perhaps change the format of that and put it in another location so that it's not cluttering up the information that's very relevant on the current product. So some content curation as well. And the types of output or the types of things I would typically be working on, again, varies from project to project, but so web pages I've mentioned, so product documentation that goes onto the Citrix website, where our customers, people working with the software, but also, I mean, it's in the public domain, so people possibly considering moving into new Citrix products that they haven't looked at before might go to as well. So web pages for that. It could also be knowledge base articles, and also content for the user interface. So the words on the screen when you're actually inside a product. That's something that an information developer would work on as well at Citrix.
So the tooltips and the mouse over buttons and all of that as well come into that role.
Yeah, but also any message that pops up on the screen, any down to labels on the screen, and perhaps first time use type support that's built into the product. So all of that we would tend to get involved in.
So what do you like about the job? What makes it interesting?
I've always liked that it's very tangible, the things that you work on. In technical communications, you see the fruits of your labour quite obviously. So that might be on a web page or inside a product. And that's very satisfying. It also comes with the responsibility, but I like the fact that because it's very tangible and you can see exactly what you've produced, you're also very accountable to your customers, your audience. If you do a good job of it, that's great, and if you don't, you know about that quite quickly as well. So it's both the responsibility, but also the reward from that is I find that great.
And are there bits which are tricky or difficult within the role? I suppose there's a two-edged sword with the autonomy and the responsibility. Is the challenge of getting it right?
You're often working on multiple projects simultaneously, so there's quite a bit of juggling to do. I think that's challenging, but also great fun. It means that it's you're always learning and it's always evolving.
And these presentations or these interviews that we're doing are for the professional body in the UK for technical communicators, the ISTC, the Institute of Scientific and Technical Communicators. Are you a member of the ISTC?
I am, yes.
Good.
I am.
Well, the first person I've interviewed that actually is, which is excellent.
Yeah, I have been for a couple of years.
And what does that give you? What do you like about the ISTC and being a member?
It gives you a large network of expertise to draw on. So if you want to reach out to people outside of your organisation to get advice or insight on something you're working on, it's a great network for that. I think with the ISTC, because there is actually a review process for becoming a member and getting different grades of membership, I think that gives a certain amount of recognition to the work you do, the level that you're at in your career, and I think that's a good thing. And I think it's also an opportunity to give something back to the industry that you work in. So if you're if you're experienced either in terms of the number of years you've worked in technical communication or specialised in a particular area, there's great opportunities to do mentoring there. And if you're newer into the industry, they have tons of opportunities to volunteer, to help out, and just get experience in different aspects of technical communication. So I would encourage anyone to really be part of it, because there's lots of opportunities there. And if you're not sure and you want to try and think about it, then I think the volunteering opportunities are great. So for example, helping out at a conference, or helping out with some of the publications, or writing, submitting an article for publication in either the online or the print publication of the ISTC. I think they're great opportunities to expand your experience in technical communications.
I think you've had an article published in Communicator, haven't you, in the past? Am I right in?
I worked with a colleague on one. In a previous role. He did one on video production. Yeah.
I think it's the profession's going through a lot of change at the moment, and even with companies and organisations which are at the front, as it were, leading, like Citrix are, it's quite useful to still be in an organisation or participate in an organisation like the ISTC, because you can test things out or tell people about what you're doing and get feedback on whether people agree with the direction you're going, but also maybe ask questions that you may or people haven't considered before. It's a very good way of a sounding board to check that what you're doing makes sense and if you haven't missed anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, this one is a short and briefer presentation compared to some of the longer ones. We're going to mix and match some of the styles for these. So I'd just like to thank you again, Diana, for your time on this interview. And if people want to see the documentation that the team that you're in is on within Citrix, you said it's within the public domain.
Yeah, so support.citrix.com/prod.docs is one of the main locations. And then from there, you can navigate to other resources. Citrix TV, so there's a range of material that we input into. Some of it is not in the public domain, but a big part of it is.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ellis. It's a pleasure.